Hey guys, you know that feeling you get when you're like maybe outside of a antique shop or a coffee shop and someone reaches up your ass and basically grabs like every organ inside your body imaginable. Maybe they yank so hard that like your teat goes inside and out, kind of gets attached, yanks it all out and then just basically turns it into a balloon animal and then releases it right in front of your face. That's basically um, the reaction I had to this article by Game Informer today. Since I haven't seen Valve News, Valve Time, or any of those guys talk about this, I figured I'd talk about it. So, let's report on this. So, let's report on this. But essentially, a guy named Andrew Rayner, who is a editor, writer for Game Informer, had a little interview with a Valve employee. Potentially. This news story is kind of breaking, and over the past few days, osmosis, like people have been figuring it out. So I thought I'd summarize it a little bit, just kind of maybe go into what this article's talking about and what we have to expect about the future of the Half-Life franchise. And we absolutely have to take what this guy says with a grain of salt, as he even says in the article, because he hasn't been able to verify this, and until other Valve employees come forward and confirm what was said, then essentially you have unverified news here. It's fake news, but it seems like this guy is legit, at least this guy we talked to. So let's talk about what he said, at least, keeping that in mind. Now, in the article I linked below in the description, essentially what this Valve employee says is Half-Life 3 is not being worked on. That the only time that there was anything actually semi-coherent on the matter was at the end of Half-Life 1 and the beginning of Half-Life 2 development, when they just kind of had to know an idea of what would happen at the end of the game, or where they could potentially go into next. And that if you ask one person at Valve one thing about Half-Life 3, or ask them about another person another thing about it, they all say different things, and there's nothing established, nothing stable, nothing concrete being worked on when it comes to Half-Life 3. Surprise? I don't know. I mean, it's been 10 years. Holy shit. Like, what are we pretending at? I don't know. Let's continue. Some people wanted it to be an RTS, the Half-Life 3, or Episode 3, rather. Some people wanted it to be an RPG. There was talks about this and that. Everything was scawampus. It was crazy. Everyone was confused, actually, and I was even confused. There was, just a ton of hullabaloo going on. And I guess in order to get to the bottom of that, we have to look at the way Valve organizes its company as a structure. And essentially, everyone, helter-skelter, is feel free to do as they want. At least this was the idea I got from it a few years ago. It's that Valve employees, essentially, you show up, you hook your desk in. They even put wheels on their desks, I believe, because they love the idea of being mobile, constantly be able to switch projects, move in, help people. Hey, Rod, you're still working on that not safe for work Alex mod. Yeah, come on by. We need some animations for it. Oh, dude, I got you. And you would just kind of go do and work on projects. So the way projects gain momentum in Valve is it's almost like a small group of people have to spearhead, the audacity, the motivation for a large group of people at Valve to be like, oh, you know what, Angie's project sounds pretty dope. Let's all go help him. Look, it's gonna be sick. Da 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 da. There has to be this kind of movement at Valve, a social justice movement, in order to get people to work on a new project. It has to be interesting. It has to be cohesive. It has to get people at the office excited before anyone's going to join your team. And because everyone is able to do whatever the hell they want at Valve, at least this is as far as I knew it back maybe a few years ago. I don't know if they're still doing it exactly like this. But, you can see how that could be a clusterfuck. And for something like Half-Life 3 or Episode 3 that was put on hold, everyone knows it's been put on hold. You're going out on a limb as a Valve employee. Let's say you just got out of college, and that's kind of what this article is talking about. It's like, let's say you just got out of college, or you just got picked up by Valve because they've seen your work. You're super excited to get in at Valve. You're like, holy shit, this is my dream. And so then you have to kind of make a name for yourself. And if the first thing you do as a new Valve employee is be like, all right, let's start up Half-Life 3, everyone's like, well, there's been a few times the employees have tried starting up Half-Life 3, and he's like, I'm gonna do it. And you'd have to spur all this momentum, all this cooperation, all this excitement at the office from a group of people who are already burnt out from Half-Life 3. They've heard about it for years. They've heard the bitching and the complaining for years. That's a lot of work, and there's a lot of Steam hat money to be made. It's really interesting, though, because in some parts of this interview, I mean, this guy says that there's potentially been many times Episode 3 has been started, and at one point in time, there could have been up to at least 30 or 40 people working on it. So that they made some, progress on it. It's just bizarre, and everything this guy's saying is, it's very unlikely that it's going to happen with the management team as it is, with the I know I'm using this word a lot in this video, momentum of Valve. They're not heading in a game developing way really right now. They're kind of more of a software hardware company now. They're making Steam Link. You got your HTC Vive involvement. You've got Source 2 development. All this stuff. So maybe once Source 2 comes out this year, they'll hop back into game development, but as of right now, it seems like they're moving away from single player games, and it's not looking like they're working on Episode 3 right now, really. I honestly think that something crazy would have to go down. There'd have to be a fucking, some kind of asteroid, Gabe Newell would have to fart, something would have to end the world before they make the game, or they would just have to run into some financial trouble. But anyways, I would highly recommend at least clicking the link in the description, checking out the article for yourself, coming to your own conclusions, and then maybe take a moment to mourn. This is potentially one of the most concrete things we've gotten from Valve, if it's true, and it's pretty sad. Pretty sad to know that we might not ever know the conclusion to the story. I mean, it was a big part of my childhood. You got to move on at some point, though, and I'm sure Valve has its own plans, and they got it all figured out. They got something they're doing. But, give it a like, give it a subscribe, whatever, all that, crap. I love you guys so much, and I have another video coming up soon, so stay tuned, and I love you guys. Anyways, peace.